Hello and welcome to the channel. Today is something a bit different. I'm still trying to adapt to the IRL style of filming, so please bear with me. In this video, I have a special unboxing of a package that I received in the mail. This is a reproduction iron ration made by Stein & Werker in the UK. This is a small independent business owned by a reenactment friend, and I have used the products before at immersive weekends with authentic period rations. I'll leave a link to the shop page in the description for anyone who is interested in checking them out. As you can see, the package came wrapped in period brown paper and was nicely tied off with twine. I want to make it very clear now, this is not a paid promotion and all items shown were purchased by myself. Once everything is unboxed, I'll be putting it all together, cooking it and eating it to experience what a standard iron ration looked like and tasted like to the people who lived off it back in the day. I've ordered the hard box version, which I was struggling to get my fingers under the side tabs to be able to open the box up. The box was nicely marked with a period ink stamp. I'm being very careful here and had to open some of the bits off camera as I was attempting to open the items and preserve the packaging so I was able to use it for displays and events in the future. All you need to do is add some water to most of these items and make sure you follow the instructions. I'm going to be using my home kettle and cooker instead of my Esbit stove, mess kit and fork set for this video, so feel free to slate me in the comments below. Inside the box, the presentation was spot on. If you'd like to know more about the iron ration and the specific quantities of food that were provided to soldiers, I will leave a link to that video in the top corner. To start off, the vegetables included in this one were in the conventional form of a soup briquette. Very fitting for the period, as most of the time this was given out during the war, as a dried briquette could survive a lot longer than any fresh vegetables. Following on, there was a coffee packet included, actual legit coffee, not any ersatz replacement. You have to be careful with these small coffee packets, as if you have them in your smock or tunic pockets or in your bread bag, and the outside is exposed to anything slightly damp or with water residue on them, they instantly activate in the packet and you're left with what feels like a brick in your hands. The two Nakbrot packages were impressive. The paper had the correct feel and texture to it, and it was beautifully packaged, and the quality of the printing on the label was amazing. There are a few out there that I've brought from the past, however most are either just cardboard boxes with printing on them, instead of just being printed directly onto the brown paper. The meat cans have been perfectly replicated too. Not only had they been sprayed so they were correct colour of field green, but also been stamped or indented on the top, much like the originals, to denote the content and the expiry date of what was inside the can. I had also purchased a biscuit box, as these small packages make great additions to any standard or core food that I take to events, and the actual brand of these biscuits can be found in most UK major supermarkets and are still sold to this day. In addition to that, I have one of these chocolate tins, again mainly just to have around as a snack, and much like the biscuits, they can be virtually bought from anywhere online and make for great little pocket filler items. Just to give you a visual representation, here's the content of a full iron ration laid out, and this is everything that you'll receive with a ration pack, which equates to one whole full iron ration. Additionally, just for show, if you wanted to format this as a half iron ration, or if you're splitting it between one or more people, this is what it would have looked like. I started with the easiest thing first, the coffee, taking the small paper package and being very careful when opening the top. This can be easily reused with any hot or cold drink powder, however, for authentic reasons, I stick to instant coffee. It's fairly easy to tip out, and a few taps on the side of the package emptied it into the cup. I then set aside the cup for later. Next I opened the crisp bread. I was having a bit of a hard time with this one, trying to carefully open the package at both ends and not rip the paper open. As you can see now, and what I learned later, the paper was actually glued around the package on one end, so I had to carefully and very awkwardly slide the content out off camera. Next, I opened the soup package. This was more forgiving than the bread and could easily be pulled out from one side to retrieve the soup briquette. This one was a pea soup and it was wrapped in a paper cloth. With the soup briquette, I only wanted to use half of it now and save the other for a future meal. Stupidly, I thought cutting it in half with a knife would work. However, mostly this produced small crumbs, which was actually more ideal than a larger briquette as a whole. I placed the crumbs and the brick into the bowl, much like the coffee before, putting it aside for the moment. After this, I attempted to open the can of meat. I say attempted because, well, as you can hear, that is the moment that my can opener breaks attempting to open this tin. I then spent a good while trying to open this after I got back from purchasing a second can opener. To start assembling it, I boiled my kettle to get some hot water. For the coffee, it's pretty self-explanatory, adding hot water and mixing well with a spoon. For the soup, it was slightly different, adding hot water, stirring it well to break up the chunks, and then actually cooking it on good heat for 10 to 25 minutes until all the peas had dissolved properly and the mixture had broken up. Just to give you an idea of the content, when it was finished I've plated it up as shown here. The only discrepancy is that I've only showed half the package of crisp bread, but I did eat the entire package with the meal. Much like back in the day, as well as the iron ration, I've also gone ahead and made some Wehrmacht brot to go with everything else, as soldiers were issued this pretty often and in substantial quantities. Overall, after eating this, I have some key points to take away. To state the obvious early on, the coffee was just that, coffee, and if you're an avid coffee drinker you'll be fine with this until the real coffee runs out and you're left with the ersatz stuff. Mixed with some of the soldiers' sugar ration, which isn't pictured here, a hot drink after spending all day outside in the cold does the world of difference for morale. The pea soup itself was warm and filling. It tasted slightly like vegetable stuffing that you find on a traditional Sunday or Christmas roast dinner here in the UK. I used the other half of the package of biscuits broken up and put into the soup to thicken it out slightly, as only using half the briquette with enough water for the full version meant the consistency was a little off. The packaged canned pork meat tastes slightly like a very finely ground sausage. I'm not the biggest fan of pork meat, however, if this was the only piece of meat issued to a soldier back in the day, I feel I'd be grateful to have received anything. I mostly enjoyed this with the knack brot, spreading chunks of it on top and eating it like a cracker. I know this video has been very different from my other content, and again, I apologise, the video has been produced in portrait mode. I'm still getting the hang of filming IRL content. However, regardless of that, I hope the video has given you a better, more visual representation of what was included in an iron ration, and I hope with this video and my full ration breakdown guide, it has provided a more in-depth look at what sort of foodstuffs German soldiers lived off during World War II. If you would like me to do another video going over how I baked the Wehrmacht brot, or any other World War II foods or cooking, please let me know in the comments or the pinned post. And as always, thank you.